Hello, I'm Patty Simpson with Simpson Math. What are people referring to when they say average? Most of us, when we hear that word, we think of the mean average, where we add up all our data values and divide by however many we have. But just because I say the word average doesn't mean that I'm talking about the mean. For instance, what if I say that the average picnicker, person who goes on a picnic in America, prefers hot dogs over pizza? So did I find the mean when I talked about that average person there? Am I talking about adding up a bunch of pizzas and a bunch of hot dogs and dividing by something? I can't find an average, mean average of pizza and hot dog. Instead, I'm actually finding the average mode, the modal average. So when people say the word average, they could be talking about one of three things. They could be talking about the mean, they could be talking about the median, or they could be talking about the mode. And people who understand statistics know that those averages, that word average can mean all three of those things: mean, median, or mode. And they know how to use it to their advantage. So in my spare time, when I'm not teaching, I own a bar. And I like to collect data at that bar sometimes to make sure that I'm running it properly. And so one night, I went around to all my patrons and I asked them, what's your yearly salary? So I talked to 9 people here, and all 9 people told me that their salary was $35,000. So I wanted to find the average that my patrons made a year. Well, the data was nice and easy to work with. So I found that the modal average, the one that showed up most often, was 35,000. I found that the median, the one right in the middle, between the top and the bottom lined up, well, they're all the same, so the median was 35,000. I found that the mean, when I added them all up, so let's add them all up, 35,000 9 times, 35,000 9 times, well, 9 times 35,000 is 1, 2, 3 zeros. That's 45, carrier 4, 27, 31. And then to find the mean, we just divide that by the 9. And it turns out to be back down to 35,000 again. So in this case, all 3 of my averages are exactly the same. The mean, the median, and the mode are all 35,000. But as we're sitting around and looking at this data, in walks Ryan from YouTube's Ryan's Toy Review. Y'all know Ryan? So he made $22 million last year. So when I asked him his salary, he's like, I made $22 million last year on YouTube. Who knew that opening toys could make you so much money? So let's add Ryan there to the list, and let's see what happens to my salary of the people who are in my bar. Well, now, if I find the modal salary, well, my average person still makes $35,000 a year because $35,000 shows up most often. If I look at the median, the one in the middle, well, I now have 10 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need the 5th and 6th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These guys are in the middle. Right in the middle is still 35,000. So the median is still 35,000. Only my mean changes when Ryan walks in. So let's find out what my mean is. We saw that if I added up all 9 of those 35,000s, it's 315,000. I'm going to add that to the 22 million that is Ryan of Ryan's Toy Review. Add that all up, and we get 22,315,000. divide that by the 10 people in my bar, and oh my goodness, now all of a sudden, the salary of someone who visits my bar, the average salary is $2,231,500. Woo! Before, I was serving peanuts that they could just throw the shells on the ground. I was serving cheap beer. But if I know the salary of someone in my bar is, the average salary is $2 million, I'm going to have to go out and get some of those fancy ice sculptures. I'm going to have to get like cloth napkins and clean the floor up so that they're not doing that. I have a different clientele if this is my average than that. But really, it was just that one person. So the mean, that mean average is affected greatly by one number, whereas my median and my mode were not affected by that one number. So people who understand stats and understand averages can use that in their favor. Here's another example. St. Paul's Hospital recorded the following data for the cost of surgeries in one day at their facility. The advertising, so here's actual data they collected. They collected data, here it is, facts. The advertising department wanted to use the data in its campaign to show that the average cost of surgery at St. Paul's is reasonable. An insurance company wanted to use the figures to justify a price increase in premiums. Those two things seem to go against each other. I want to advertise that the prices are low, and the insurance company wants to say, hey, these prices are, the prices are so high that I need to raise your premiums on you. And yet they're using the same data. How can they do that? So which average should each group use? But again, those people who understand data and averages know that they can use the same set of data to tell two different stories. Let's see if we can figure out which average the groups need to use. So first, let's find the modal average. Our modal average is just the one that shows up most often. So if we look, all of these show up one time except for the 30,000. So our mode, or the one that shows up most often, is $30,000. Let's find the median. The median cuts the data strictly in half so that 50% is below it and 50% is above it. So I look and see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different data points. Remember, when you're finding the median, that the first thing you need to do is put the data in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. This is almost in order. That 250,000 just needs to go on the top. Since there are 8 data values, remember that to find the median, we can split that in half, and we want 4 on both sides. So we're going to go look at 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th one, and I need to get right in between. I started at my lowest, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th data point. I want to get right in between those. So remember, to get right in between, when I have an even number of data points, I take my 2 middle ones and add them together and divide by 2. So when we add that together, we get 85,000. Divide that by 2, and I get 82,500. So my median there is 42,500. Then, last but not least, let's find the mean, that third average. To find the third average, we're going to add all these numbers together, and then we're going to divide by 8, because there are 8 of them. When I add this all together, it equals 565,000. Just trust me. We add that together and it's 565,000 divided by 8, And that equals, well, 8 goes in there 7 times. 8 doesn't go into 5. 8 goes into, let me write that below so we have enough room. 70, 8 goes into 50, 6 times with 2 left over. 8 goes into 20, 2 times with 4 left over, and 8 goes into 45 times. So the mean average is $70,625. So you see that I could be talking about the average cost at this hospital, and that average cost could be 3 different numbers. It could be $70,625, or it could be $42,500. Half of my customers pay below that, and half of my customers pay above that. Or I could say, well, the typical person, the price that shows up most often is $30,000. None of these are lies. All 3 of these are averages. So the insurance company is going to want to make it look like they're having to pay out a lot for the surgeries. So the insurance company is going to want to use the mean average. The fact that they had one surgery that cost a whole lot pulled that mean way up. It made it look like they're charging a lot more for the surgeries than they actually are. Whereas the advertising campaign is going to want to put on its billboards, most people pay $30,000. The average person that enters St. Paul's pays $30,000. Neither one of them are lying. They're just using the statistics to their advantage. So you need to know that politicians, advertisers, and all kinds of other people who are trying to convince you of something, when they say the word average, they could be talking about the mean, the median, or the mode. So from now on, unless they're like Bernie Sanders, who says every single time the median salary, the median income, he lets you know which stat he's talking about. Unless they're like that, when they say average, you better start asking yourself, which average do they mean? And when I ask you for the average, you should always give me 3 answers, because average means the mean, the median, and the mode. Math made simple at Simpson Math. Thanks for watching.